My name is Eric Rupert. About 18 years ago, I accidentally made these pecans. Tried to correct that mistake 5 times over the course of 2 minutes, and the result was fortune favors. And I know I probably said it in the video, but I walked away from the best chef job in the country, and I'm not kidding. It's an amazing job. I led a team of about 150 people, feeding 10,000 people a day from scratch, and I'd be retired by now had I stuck with that job. But instead, at 55, I walked away from that job and started a business with that one, with the classic. So that's why that's kind of a sentimental favorite. Hopefully you guys have tried them. If you haven't, you're in for a treat. We're in Madison, Wisconsin, and we're in the Midwest, and we have a well-deserved reputation for appearing anyways to be very modest. We don't like saying nice things about ourselves. It's very uncomfortable. I will tell you, these are the best pecans in the country. I'm used to saying that now. My mom is still sitting on my shoulder saying, don't say it, don't say it, but it's true. We've tried every other pecan that's commercially available out there, and these are the best. I'm not sure that's much of a hook, when you're doing a demo, but that's okay. I just know it. We've tried every other candy pecan that we can possibly find. I'm sure there's some grandmother down in Georgia that is making them, and they're way better than what we make, but she's not selling them. So here we are. I'm looking at you guys, as peers, not as, I don't know everything by any means. I've done a zillion demos. I have the added advantage of saying, oh, I'm the owner. I make them, which, that catches people's attention, but I didn't say that for a long time, and not a big deal. Why don't we just kind of jump in? I wanted to just kind of say some of the things that I say during demos, and find it, and also the spirit of the demos that I do. I don't wake up, and this is relevant. I don't wake up every morning thinking about how much money we're going to make or how many we're going to sell. What wakes me up in the morning every day, and truly, is how many people we're going to actually bring joy to. We're going to create a moment of joy, a moment of quiet, a moment of connection, of being in the moment. That's what gets me up in the morning. That, and leading a team of people where that is the goal. Now, yes, to be clear, if it was just me running a business, we would have lasted about 6 days maybe. But we're in our 8th year, and that's largely due to Sam and Jason and Jess and the folks around here. Because I'm not good at running a business. I'm good at making the pecans. When you're standing behind a table like this, I think we've all, it's so sad. We've all been doing demos, and 30 feet over there, somebody else is doing a demo, and they're on their phone the whole time. They don't look up when they're, when the customer comes up. You guys are the exact opposite. And that is, I play this game where like somebody's looking in a cooler at, some cheese or some pasta, and I like literally send over energy to them, like, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, because I'm going to make your day better. And so typically I have these corny lines that are highly effective. I'm not saying you have to use them by any means. They just work for me. I'll hold up a cup and go, hey, I brought you a snack. Just like that. And, sometimes they're in that sort of shopping zone. They didn't expect anybody to tell them that. And then I'll usually follow it up by saying, and I'm going to make you a promise. I'm going to make you a promise. This is going to be the best pecan you have all day. Of course, it's probably going to be the only pecan you have all day. So but it might be the best one you have your whole life. Pretty sure that's going to be the case too. In fact, I owe you an apology. And they're like, what? And I said, yeah, because every pecan going forward for the rest of your life, if they're not these, are just going to be a big disappointment. And they laugh, and it just, sort of breaks the ice. I love the act of handing them something. Sometimes I got a bunch of them in front of me, and I'll pick it up and I'll actually hand it to them. And I think there's an element of connection that comes with that. I'm positive that's true, where I am giving you something. There's a generosity. There's a generosity of spirit that comes, and they don't know it yet, but I'm giving you something that you're going to remember pretty much forever. it's going to be the best of that thing that you've ever had in your life. And you're going to be, oh my goodness. And now you've got a friend. So I love handing it to them. And to that, I typically start with the classic. And I've used the analogy of a flight of wines, where you start with a sort of the mildest white. And then honestly, I don't have much advice which direction you go, because everything's going to blow up your palate after that. But I always start with a classic, because I also think it lets you tell the story a little bit about who we are and what it is and what makes it so special. Some of it's a little bit of timing. If they chow it down really quick, I typically will look at them and just sometimes I'll even eat one with them, sort of as a sense of I don't know, like, cheers and having a drink together. We've all seen it when they're eating something and they're like, oh my goodness. I don't talk. What I'll say is, I'm just going to let you be with that for a second. And it does. It takes, if you've had them, like that initial bite, the first, 10 seconds of chewing is really amazing. But these things keep going for a good minute. What I try to do is get them to sort of sink into that moment, because that's where the memory, that's where the feeling, it brings up a whole lot of really good things typically. And that's what I think separates us from other things. I'm going to talk physiology for a second. Our brains love things that are sweet. The brain loves salty things. They love rich things. And they love that umami, that toasty brown, sort of seared meat, roasted mushroom, toasted nut flavor. And our brains absolutely light up when we get those things. And as luck would have it, we check all those boxes. So while people are eating them, unbeknownst to them, their brains are going crazy in a really good way. Now we've got them. We've got their interest. We've got their brains all lit up, their palates all excited. They've discovered something. And from there, I'll just check in. How are you doing? And again, this is just me. You guys you have other ways of doing this, but it's that connection that comes with being in that moment. And we've just created it for them. And whether they know it or not, they were craving that moment, because life is crazy. We want those moments of stillness or connection. So yeah, then I say, okay, so you tried the classic. I've got other flavors here. How are you with spicy food? The garlic and onion and poppy seeds and sesame seeds that are in the everything, that's gonna take your palate a certain way. The spicy is gonna take it another. The mesquite, some of the stores that you're gonna go into will have it, some won't. Don't worry about it. An overly simple way to think about these is the classic is sweet and salty. The everything is sweet and savory. The spicy is sweet and kind of spicy. The spark is spicy and citrusy. And then the mesquite is sweet and smoky. I don't lean into the sweet too much, because let's talk about what makes us different. And I think this is a huge part of the conversation. I think we'll all kind of chuckle when I say this, because part of doing demos, we all know this, is you got to say the same thing about 7,000 times over and over and over. But it only works if you really mean it each time. And if you're really genuine in the moment, because people will see right through, they've clearly said that and they don't really mean it. So I will tell people sometimes when they've had that moment, I'll go, here's why you're experiencing what you are. Every candy pecan you've had up until now was somewhere between 30 and 60% sugar by weight. These are 6% sugar by weight. So this is more a perfectly toasted pecan made by a group of chefs in Madison, Wisconsin, 4 pounds at a time, that is only 6% sugar. So you get to taste the pecan that's enhanced with a little bit of sugar and salt, rather than your brain and your palate having to work through and your frankly, your pancreas having to work through so much sugar, and somewhere in there, maybe there's a pecan that they never toast for reasons I still don't understand. So what we do with these pecans is we want you to experience what a perfectly toasted pecan tastes like. We have, first and foremost, we're about celebrating the pecan and bringing you into the moment and enchanting that moment. A little side story. When we were changing the name, we did a survey of 300 of our customers. And one of the questions on the survey, and it was a lengthy survey, was, do you remember the first time you tried the pecans? 96% of the people remembered having them for the first time. That's a staggering number. And that goes, to my mind, that goes directly back to what makes these great. Part of it is the physiology of it. Part of it is the interaction that they've got with you, and you really setting the stage for them to have this extraordinary experience. These are extraordinary, and you are going to make a bunch of people happy. And how is that not going to make your day better? So that's kind of, I just look at that as fun and enriching for me. Also a little exhausting. I think we could all agree that when we get done with a demo, it's like being on stage for 3 hours. You're like, whew, you just sit in the car for 10 minutes before you drive off. So some uses, I'm cheating off the board. The obvious one, snacking. I will jokingly say, yeah, we went into a bunch of cars and we measured the cup holders in the cars, and we picked a can that fits perfectly into the cup holder. So snacking, a healthy, energizing snack. As somebody who typically eats pretty low carb, it has a whopping 7 per serving. And for the record, a serving, I always put my hand out and I go 20 halves, about 20 halves. Oh, that's a big serving. Has 7 net carbs. In that world, that's really low. And those folks, they don't eat, like, typically they're not eating sweet things, whether it's because of diabetes or they're doing keto or they're just watching their carb intake. So their brains haven't had many sweet things, and you get something that's a little bit sweet and your brain just goes, oh my God, that's the best thing I've had in weeks. It provides energy. We've all eaten too much sugar. I know I have many times, and then it's just nothing but regret. So these don't do that. These give you energy because the amount of sugar that's in there is so low, it's actually usable for our bodies. They also digest slowly, and so they are this it's good to put in the fuel tank because it's there, an hour and a half, 2-3 hours afterwards, you're still working. We do exceedingly well in the charcuterie world. And I do want to say, I grossly overestimated people's understanding of how well our pecans, especially the classic and the everything, but not exclusively, how well they pair with cheese. Now, I will admit I'm in Wisconsin, or as we say, Wisconsin, and I'm in America's Dairyland, which is what it says on our license plate. So I have a little cheese bias. However, people are all about cheese, and I've actually never met a cheese that didn't go really well with our pecans, like extraordinarily well. So, pairing them, if not with a whole charcuterie board, just as a really nice snack, a little bit of nice cheese, some pecans. But I grossly overestimated people's understanding of how well they go together. So be proactive. You're going to be standing around a bunch of cheese in a specialty department, suggest that they pair it up with some cheese. Salads, they're amazing on salads. I always say, hey, look, pro tip, when they say, oh yeah, that'd be great on a salad, I tell them, but just put them on at the end. Don't toss them in. There's so little sugar on these that very thin glaze, the moisture in the dressing that's in a salad will kind of wash off some of that sugar. They're still great, but they're spectacular if you just put them on at the very end. So you can give them that sort of cooking tip, and they're like, oh my God, they really care about me. And the most obvious of obvious on ice cream. Sam McDaniel, our CEO, co-owner, friend, fellow bald guy, he discovered that the spicy of all things on vanilla ice cream is extraordinary. So those are some uses for it. You can make your kind of homemade trail mix if you want to. That's kind of fun. I find a toasted everything bagel, cream cheese, and then crushed everything pecans on top. That's like the kind of good that'll make you punch your grandma. That's so good. People, our website's on here. People that are on our mailing list, first of all, we have fun. We're not obnoxious about it. But also the people that are on that mailing list, they get the first crack at the best deals.
Easy.
We probably have 40 recipes on the website. So if people are looking for things to do with them, that's a good place to go. Gifting.
Yes.
A good chunk of our business, we know this, they're given away as gifts. And I think there's a reason that we do really well in that world. When people give gifts, they want it to, they're coming from their heart. They want to connect, and they want to create a memory, a positive memory, and they also want it on some level to reflect positively on them as the gift giver. When these are gifted, it always has that effect of like, where did you get those? What were those? Where did you find those? And that's exactly what happens, like the majority of the time. And so we see a lot of gifting going on, or what are they? Hostess gifts. People show up at parties with wine. Great. Awesome. But that's what a lot of people do. If people show up with a few cans of these, you can tell them, first off, when you open them up, watch how quick they go. Like, just watch what happens, because they will go very, very fast. When they get put on charcuterie boards, it's almost always the first thing that's gone on the charcuterie board. Almost every single time. I've watched it a gazillion times. So they want to be that person that is in the know, knows special things, knows things that other people don't, knows what quality is. We can help them out with that big time. So gifting is a big piece of it. I buy the best pecans Mother Nature makes in a year. So some years, because Mother Nature's variable, crazy. Some years Georgia, some years Texas, some years New Mexico. Those are the 3 states. Most of what you're going to get out in the stores right now, that's Texas, because they had a great year last year. Georgia had some hurricanes. New Mexico had some yield issues. So I work with a broker. It's the most terrifying thing we do in a year is we contract for what we think is a year's worth of pecans. The price tag on that is insane and terrifying, but he knows I want the best quality pecan, not the cheapest by any means. All of our pecans are grown in the U.S., just for what it's worth. And all pecans are naturally non-GMO. You will run into this. I can promise you that if you haven't already. We use canola oil. Despite science and nutritionists and all, I don't know, I won't go there, but you're going to get people that look at it and go, oh my God, canola oil? No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing seed oils. You're trying to poison me. Literally had somebody tell me that. We are going to change the label so that it says, and this will satisfy some of them, but not all of them, it is expeller pressed non-GMO canola oil. It's really high quality canola oil. So we're going to change the labels, but they're going to look over and go, oh my God, no, it's not for me. You've probably done demos where the thing that you're demoing just isn't for them. And okay, you're not going to win. There's just let them go. I took that real personal for a while and wanted to argue with them. I just not going to do that.
All in all, it's just a really nutritious snack. People might harp on the sugar and everything else. The amount of sugar and the amount of canola in that can is so little. And that's what I try to get people to really understand. Like, we're not your typical pecan. Like
Not real.
like Eric alluded to, it's 6% of the sugar weight, whereas like some of these other brands could be up to 60, 70, like it's very high. And also like the oil that's used is such a small amount. I mean, you look at the nutritional facts, it's differs very little from just a straight pecan. And that's what I tell people. Like, look at the nutrition facts on a raw pecan over in the bulk aisle compared to our nuts, and you're going to see it's
Right.
not very different because we're not adding a lot of stuff. It's just enough to complement the flavor. It's really the toasting of the nut and the texture that really is gonna draw you in. Like when you eat them, if you haven't had them now, you'll get it. They're delicious.
Just for perspective on the oil, and again, this may or may not win the day, but there is about one drop, literally one drop of expeller pressed non-GMO canola oil in 4 ounces of our nuts. No, they're not. However, this may or may not help them, or may or may not. The pecan is North America's only native tree nut, and as such, it requires very little, and in a lot of cases, no pesticides or herbicides, because they know how to naturally fight off those things on their own. They don't need a lot of extra water, if any, in a lot of places, depending on the year. Whereas what we affectionately call the lesser nuts, walnuts, almonds, pistachios, those they're non-native, and they require high levels of water and chemicals to grow them. Peanuts. A lot of people, like that is the most severe of severe allergies for some people. Yeah. And our pecan, a lot of nut processors process all manner of nuts, including peanuts, which technically is not a nut, by the way. But anyways, we have certification that our pecan processor does not, all they process is pecans. It's a completely peanut-free facility and other nut-free facility. So you can tell them that. Yep. We put an 11-month best by date from the date of manufacture on it. So by the time that you're in your stores, you're going to see a range. It could be anywhere from 3 months on the low end to 9 or 10 months. We do put a silica pack in, regardless of what they're going into. We put a silica pack in there. First of all, it's non-toxic. It's food safe. But our pecans hate moisture a lot. They're still good when they get to moisture, but and I can't believe I'm comparing what we make to potato chips, although no shade at potato chips. You leave a bag of potato chips open for a day, same thing here. They just lose that magic. They lose that crisp. They lose how spectacular they are. So what I tell people is we've got a silica pack in there. Don't eat it, and put the lid back on when you're done. You're gonna get people that go, "Oh, those are so expensive." Yes and no. They are and they aren't. First of all, you're getting the best of a thing that's going to create a life memory for you. For $10, that seems like a pretty good deal. That's probably not going to win them over. For some people, you're never going to get them over. But what you're getting is 94% pecan and 6% sugar, not 60% sugar. Our quality is the best of the best. And actually, ounce for ounce compared to, well, it's hard to compare other pecans to what we do because there aren't other pecans that are this good. I know that sounds really arrogant, but it's true. They're comparable. We're actually ounce for ounce a little less expensive than other brands. So some of those you're going to win, some you're not. What I really care about is getting people to taste them. That's the most important piece. They're going to remember that. We make these things 4 pounds at a time, guys. We're not sitting here, setting a timer. We watch the temperature because that is a critically important piece of the cooking process. But they're done when they're done. They're not done because a timer went off, or they're done because the skill of our cooks. I make a bunch. My son makes a bunch. We got a couple other guys. One guy primarily, he makes a lot of them. We're cooks, like from here. That's like we're not I would say, super fancy chefs or cooks. We're cooks because we love to, we're generous of spirit, generous of heart. And that comes through in our business.
One thing I really want to hammer is the store teams. I've sold a lot of things in Whole Foods. I've done thousands of demos. For you guys that don't know this, I've had 3 brands exit from demo programs. So Vega, Perfect Bar, and most recently Ithaca Hummus. You're going to love working with the specialty teams. It's a whole different breed of Whole Foods employees. I've worked with a lot of grocery teams and dairy teams. It can be a little difficult going store to store. Sometimes you get someone positive, sometimes you don't. The specialty teams tend to love their jobs a lot more. It's a lot more fun. They can play with their sets a lot more. There's not super planograms. Build rapport with those people and they will set you up. I have stores. I just did probably, I think, around 15 demos for Fortune Favors. And I was looking at the data from the stores that I did demos, and they're still some of the fastest growing stores for us. And it's just because I met with the teams. I got them excited. Some of them had me like pair it with cheese. Like they're like, oh, take this cheese and pair it. And I was like, at first I was like, well, is that going to take away from the nut? It doesn't. Honestly, it's awesome. People just get really excited. And who doesn't want to eat cheese? And you know, it's one of those things. It's like it draws more people. So if they say, hey, can you pair it with some cheese? Be like, heck yeah, let's go, you know? You know, definitely if they're not familiar with the nuts, please, you know, hook them up. You know, make sure they get some samples.
We are very much a relationship over transaction business. We much prefer building relationships. If you do that correctly, the transactions tend to take care of themselves. The one of the most important relationships that you have, and you are an ambassador for my business, is with that specialty team member. That staff. You can easily, trust me, easily make them big fans and big supporters of the brand as well. And that's the long game. You guys can tell the Whole Foods folks that we will send them for free 2-pound bags of product for demoing purpose, for passive demoing purposes. I tell everybody, shockingly to me and disappointing, about 5% of the people actually take me up on it. But those 5% of the stores that do it, their sales are exponentially greater than all the other stores.
On PromoMash itself, if you're not familiar with it, please get with me. I think you all know how to use it pretty well. Just please make sure that inventory is as close to possible on each flavor as you can get. I know some stores have a ton of backstock. Don't worry about counting it all. Just do your best to count what's available. And then as you sell it, if you get some backstock out, I just add to it while I'm doing the demo. If you need to cancel demos, if you can get me 24 hours advance notice, I really appreciate it. Whole Foods is that system isn't perfect as well. It's just, if I cancel a demo before 8:30 in the morning Eastern time, we're not charged. But if I cancel demo at 8:31 after Eastern time, we're charged for it. It is $35 per demo for us just to pay for it, for free to be in the store, believe it or not. So just be cognizant of that. I had no things happen, and I understand. If you're running late for a demo or anything like that, don't worry. I don't care. Just show up and do what you can when you get there. It's not like an hourly thing or anything like that.
Number one, you've got an extraordinary product to demo. It is the best of the best. You guys are going to figure out, I've just given you a few things that I use. Feel free to use them. Won't hurt my feelings if you don't. What I would love to hear is, if you guys come up with other angles, other ways of getting people to have that moment. I'm all ears, because I've been doing it my way for a while. I just try to have fun with folks, and I'm sure you do too. Some people like grocery shopping, some people not so much. And if you can make that experience for them really positive, it's good for the brand. It's good for you. I think it nourishes us, our souls a little bit. It's good for the store. And first and foremost, it's good. It's great for the customer. You've made their day a little better. And if they become a regular customer, in a small but nonetheless meaningful way, you've made their lives better. Truly, you brought, that's it. I think you can sort of hear it in my voice. I was nervous before this, by the way, very nervous. This is how revved up I get about our product, and I'm around it all the time, because what I'm assuming, based on what Jason has done in his life, you guys are going to go out and kill it. You guys are going to go out and absolutely crush it. And what that means for me is not what I really care about at the moment. What is making me really happy, because there's only one of me. I can do only so many demos. You can only do so many demos, but now we've got this amazing team that can come together and literally in a day, 10 of you, 15, 20 of you are out there, we're going to get this into thousands and thousands of people's mouths, and you're going to create those moments for the majority of them. So that part makes me extremely excited.